Ione. Hi everyone. I'm Gina, the senior editor of Polyester.
And I'm Ione, the founding editor-in-chief of Polyester. And this is the Polyester Podcast, a feminist pop culture podcast dissecting the discourse on a weekly basis.
Before we start, if you're a fan of this podcast, please make sure to like, rate and subscribe. And if you really love us, you can sign up for a podcast membership. Get access to our research each week and get on our Instagram close friends for only £3 a month. Do we have any reviews, Ione?
We do. This is a lovely one. 5 stars, refreshingly modern and grounded. What a relief to find these two. Between their love of poor things and their disdain for Saltburn, I knew I'd found my people within my first few episodes. If you're looking for a podcast discussing the culture everyone else is talking about with much more discernment, thought and humour, these are the girls for you too. By Appsteel via Apple Podcasts in the US of A.
God, that's gorgeous.
Very lovely.
I'm so ovulating. I'm on the verge of tears already.
Fuck off. Jesus Christ. So today we are talking about
Blockout.
I don't think it's a jokey one.
No, it's not. It's very serious. Sorry, I take it back. I never meant it.
It's a stupid name.
Yeah, it's called that because the account that originated it is called Blockout2024.
Yeah, not to be mean to @Blockout2024.
Blockout2024, you're doing great work. Or are you?
Whoa.
Bom, bom, bom.
So, since the Met Gala, which 3 weeks ago when this episode comes out, there has been like a slow this has been slowly gaining traction. So, the blocking celebrities trend, also known as Blockout2024 Celebrity Block List or Celebrity Block Party or Block Talk, refers to a trend started in the wake of the Met Gala. Already said that. TikTok users and other internet users made a list of celebrities to block on social media to protest their wealth by attempting to stop their ad revenue. High-level influencers were also included in the block list. The campaign centred on targeting celebrities who didn't speak up to condemn the IDF. Gina, do we have any examples of the celebrities?
Yeah, we do. We have people like Addison Rae, Ava Max, Cardi B, and then more obvious examples like Amy Schumer on there as well.
What? Why are they trying to make Amy Schumer, like, it goes against, like, everything she's been doing?
What do you mean?
Well, because the point of Blockout, right, is in a way to force the hand of celebrities and high-profile people to speak out in support of Palestine by blocking them and therefore, like, decreasing their social capital, like, showing that we're not going to engage with people that like won't make their thoughts known on this trend. But yeah. Amy Schumer's never going to do that.
I think that it is also just being like, this is a way to cut off a celebrity's revenue stream by not having eyes on like what they're doing or like seeing what they're like. If they lose followers, then they'll lose the amount that they're able to like flog their shit for. Mm-hmm. So like it also applies doing a block out to people whose opinion you disagree with, because then they are also suffering from being blocked, I suppose.
So I suppose this is like akin to what a lot of people have been doing on Twitter for a long time, and I'm sure on other social media platforms. For example, with like J.K. Rowling being a TERF, a lot of people like just immediately block TERFs now instead of trying to like engage them or anything like that, just so they can kind of cut off the vitriolic bile.
Yeah, I think it's always happened where we've seen that this works as like a deplatforming technique, and it's like interesting that it's turned around to become a way of trying to get like something from these people, because traditionally deplatforming, especially on Twitter, like people like that Milo, what's his name?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, him, and then like Katie Hopkins and stuff. The deplatforming's worked because they've just got rid of their platform and then they don't have a space to be able to speak, like share what they think, like share their like toxic opinions, whereas like this is kind of like the opposite, like you're blocking someone, you're deplatforming them to get them to speak.
It's like a ransom almost.
Yeah, it's like I will unblock you when you have given a front-facing opinion and done an action that is in line with what I want.
Yeah, I saw, I'm not sure if it's in the research, but I saw like Shy Girl put on her Instagram story a comment that was like, speak out on Palestine, Queen, so we don't have to block you. Like, the language is so foul.
Yeah.
And then she was like,
I have.
Yeah, this is pathetic. Like, just because you're not seeing my Instagram all the time doesn't mean that, like, I'm not speaking out on it and you don't know what I'm doing in the real world or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. But it has had, like, positive stuff come out of it. Like, Jack Antonoff has, like, donated loads of money in, like, a public-facing way. I'm sure other celebrities have also, like, I'm sure lots of celebrities have been targeted by the blockout and then gone forward, but I just can't think of another example off the top of my head.
It's an interesting, like, way of thinking of social economy in our age. Like, so on May 8th, 2024, Blockout2024 posted a stitch with footage from the 2024 Met Gala and a news broadcast about the war in Gaza. The account urged people to block celebrities so they couldn't make ad revenue. The account gave an example saying that Kim Kardashian supposedly hadn't made money from him since December 2023 when he blocked her on social media. Over 2 days, that TikTok had gained roughly 2.1 million plays and over 300,000 likes. But it's like a very personal way of putting it, I suppose is what I mean. Like, this person isn't making money from me, but the way that celebrities make money is not from necessarily even individual views anymore. It's like just followers and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a really great point later on in the research where someone's like saying, yeah, these kinds of things work, and like like the original video got like 2.1 million views, and then in the bit of research by Chloe Veltman for NBR, which is called The Met Gala Has Fueled Backlash Against Stars Who Are Silent About the Gaza Conflict, is like, so say all those 2.1 million people saw this list and blocked Kim Kardashian, for example, a drop in her followers from like 156 million to 154 million isn't really going to make any difference to her. Like, there's other bigger ways that this isn't going to have as big an impact as you think.
Well, it's kind of like, as well, like, I'm not saying these people are, but definitely a more effective way of withdrawing support from a celebrity is, yeah, if you don't like them, you shouldn't be following them anyway. I don't know what hate follows are about. B, if you're blocking them, but then you're still having like skims in your wardrobe or whatever, you fucked yourself over there. It just is not going to be effective. Like, you've literally lined their pockets. Like, I think it's interesting to talk about the attention economy and how celebrities rise because of attention on social media, but at the end of the day, I don't think overall celebrities are sweating over followers, they're sweating over pounds. So if or dollars or whatever, money, if they're losing followers, which then does affect them economically, that's interesting, but there's a more direct way, which is just not to buy into the things that they're selling.
I think when you're rich, like, you care less about followers, because there's definitely, I've seen TikTokers and like people on Instagram in the past be like, having comments being like, you make so much money from having these followers, and they're like, I fucking don't. Like, I'm just like, you think I'm getting paid to have this platform? I'm not. Whereas like, if you're a celebrity, like, you're getting paid outside of the platform just helps you like as a marketing tool. Whereas like, if you don't have something to sell already, it's moot. Like, it is literally just attention that you're getting from it.
I mean, people do love attention though.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, like, we're not affecting celebrities by unfollowing them because they're not using it to get the money directly. It's like taking away maybe like a 1% margin of their marketing base.
Well, I think it's definitely interesting though, because he goes on to claim, we have full control over celebrities' money and lives. When we hate on them, they make money. When we praise them, they make money. But when we block their social media accounts and completely forget their names, they lose it all. Which like is less true when you're talking about like a massive celebrity, because for example, Donald Trump got booted off Twitter and then just made his own Twitter.
Yeah.
But as like a, you know, social uprising for it is appealing to me, because I've been seeing forever in the context of like magazines, which is obviously way less serious than Palestine and like real social issues, is that people need to put their money where their mouths are. And it's like all worth saying that you support like smaller things or whatever, or etc., but how many people actually buy into that of like buying something they believe in as opposed to just buying something because it's big? So this is kind of like an interesting, it's that on like a much bigger level, on a much bigger thought level. But I think there's like a problem with it focusing on celebrities, and I feel like this was magnified when we did our Taylor Swift episode, for example, because there was like two camps. There was basically one camp of people saying, why should she speak out? She's a musician. It's none of her business. And there was a second camp being like, Taylor Swift has so much political... Like, obviously, neither of these camps had actually listened to the podcast, but then there was a second camp of commenters being like, Taylor Swift has so much political influence. Donald Trump shitting himself, blah, 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 blah. Like, it feels like we're really confused now more than ever about celebrities' role in society. We don't know whether we should be looking up to them or like gawking at them in sheer terror at what they're doing, like going to the Met Gala, or whether we should be you know, trying to push them on political issues or whether we should just let them enjoy their careers. Like, the role of celebrity has never been less clear. I would say even less clear than it was during COVID, because right at the beginning of COVID, we obviously had the Imagine video, which everyone was like, celebrities are dipshits. But then we kind of just like fell back into order, basically. Like, but now it's interesting that it's like the genocide that has really kind of, at least for this moment, been the thing that is kind of throwing our idea of what celebrities and society looks like into disarray.
Yes, before we were like, they're so out of touch, like they don't have an impact on us, and now they're like, they're so out of touch, they should be impacting like things positively. And that's just like confusing. Like, how can you go from seeing them as being like so unimpactful to being the people who are going to revolutionize a war, like change like what the outcome of any of these conflicts is going to be?
And I think it's like at least partly cynical on the part of the celebrities, in that something that I found interesting is that people have taken the bait, for example, and like it seems that celebrities have become wise to the blockout very quickly, which is something that's quite rare, I would say. Like, it usually takes a much longer time for celebrities to be made aware of something that's like going on, or like for them to care. Maybe they might be told by their management or whatever, but then to directly be addressing it is interesting. Like that Shy Girl thing, obviously she's a way smaller celebrity than say like many people. Like Britney Spears is on the blockout list. Like,
I don't know if this is me being like cynical as well. It's like, if I was on the other side of like the opinion on the blockout list and I was being petty, I'd read the blockout list and just follow them all. Like, I feel like it's going to go the other way. Like, and it's the same with like people, not to bring back Amy Schumer again, but like she just got a Variety cover and she's like one of the most like figureheads of hatred on the like pro-Palestine side.
Wait, pull out that line. You mean that she's like extremely pro-Israel?
Yeah. Like, she's one of the celebrities that like people who are against what Israel are doing is focusing on as being like so awful, because she is being so awful, but it's not actually affecting her in any way. Like, if anything, she's gotten opportunities out of it, being so hold fast on being pro-Israel. And like, when we put together a list and say these are the celebrities that are pro-Israel, I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to have as much repercussion as it could potentially benefit them as well.
I mean, this is something that we've seen like essentially going in circles since everything ramped up in October, in that there's been, and we've spoken about this on previous episodes, of, you know, celebrities signing open letters on both sides, like one thanking Biden and one calling for a ceasefire. And then also, I spoke about the example before of like Emma Seligman accidentally being put on the thank President Biden list when she's like very staunchly pro-Palestine and has been organising a lot around like Jewish people for Palestine. And it just gets to a point like where it's very cyclical on social media, and it becomes like a game. Like, I know we've been speaking about gamification a lot, and we'll cut to a little ad break now and then come back to it.
Go on.
No, so like, to say my point, I'm looking at the blockout list now, and a lot of the people also are people that have been like, well, obviously in the limelight recently, or maybe are proactively promoting something. So like Charlie XCX, Doja Cat, Dove Cameron, is that how you say her name?
Yeah, Dove.
Ed Sheeran, Alabama Barker, isn't she like 18? Beyonce, Ashley Tisdale, Ariana Grande. It seems kind of like without rhyme or reason, and organising needs to be organised, in my opinion. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. But I think where it becomes a problem is that as people witnessing like a genocide unfold through our phone screens, it's very difficult for like people that are not directly involved in that to make sense of it. So I know there's the example of people started literally slicing like videos coming out of Gaza with Met Gala clips to like show the like dissociative nature of performing such a high stakes like wealth. But that's what we've been seeing for months. Like, it's been months of all of these kind of like big monumental moments, like even like Christmas, but then the Oscars, the Grammys. Like, if you are on social media, it's likely you are seeing that next to a clip of like a child dying or like extreme violence or something that's like very horrible. And as people that like, it can feel hard to find a way to be directly active, it makes sense that we're trying to use social media to untangle all of that with the blockout list. So it makes sense that we're trying to like create positive action in the space in which we're consuming all of like the horror of it. But I think it becomes like, a game. It becomes a game of like, how can I make someone do something because I want them to, and less about what you're actually trying to make them do. Like, we're losing sight of the fact that we're actually asking people to like speak out about a genocide in this, and it becomes more like, Queens, block Charlie XCX, like diminish her rollout.
It's such, like, fucking virtue signaling, like being like, I blocked everyone on the list. Have you seen that you meant to block this person additionally as well? And people in the comments being like, why? Like, I saw one where someone was like, you need to block Chapel Roan, her management support Israel. And then someone replied being like, oh, I can't actually see any evidence of this. Like, can you please link me to like proof? And they went, oh, someone told me. And that's like why you should do what I've told you. Because like, I've got the intel that you don't have. Like, it's become so like an hierarchy of who's like the best at being fucking best at the block list, who's best at knowing like what celebs are bad, best at knowing anything. And it's weird because what does that actually benefit anyone at the end of the day, like apart from like your own ego? Like, I don't think the people on the ground in Palestine are asked that you've blocked 50 more people than your mate has.
Well, I would say apparently they are actually in support of the block list in the same way that their support, like that they have put together the boycott list and stuff. But it shouldn't become your personality. Like, it shouldn't become...
it can't be competitive.
A fixation in your mind as to, like, the only good way of doing something is through doing it in the way that I understand to be good is the problem here. So, yeah, many of those celebrities. So, for example, there's, like, an example of Rachel Ziegler. Is that how you say her name? Or?
Yeah.
So, she is pro-Palestine. Also very active on Twitter, which has always stranged me out about her. So she is one of the people that's had a lot of flack for attending the Met Gala, and a lot of people were kind of saying to her like, oh, you paid 75 grand for a ticket when that could have gone to, you know, like medical aid, could have gone to all of these things. And there's just so much like general misunderstanding of how things work on the internet. Celebrities don't pay for their tickets, like brands pay for their tickets. And yeah, maybe it would have been a better use of her time or like symbolic to say, donate that money instead. But trying to get a brand on board to do something like that, like, why are we being like corporation money should go instead to these things? Like, we're just constantly misdirecting. Like, we're constantly misdirecting where actual power lies and how we make change. It's not particularly affecting either way if Rachel Ziegler goes to the Met Gala, when she's consistently using her voice both on the internet and off to advocate for like the freedom of Palestinian people. But because we only see things in this flat 2D way, and people maybe don't care about the Met Gala, apart from like, I have a special interest in the Met Gala. They only see the Met Gala as, you know, like something they see once a year with like lots of people wearing nice photos. They don't understand how it works, which is a fair assumption. But I feel like we just all need to learn a bit more shame in like feeling like we are entitled to go after these people without knowing, like without even doing our research. Like, okay, if you then did your research and you thought, okay, I still think it's bullshit that she's gone to the Met Gala and here's why, have at it. But people are literally just like misdirecting with misinformation all the time.
Yeah, we're in such like a fucking misinformation crisis, especially with like when you get a list like this, like that is just names like in alphabetical order. Like, how am I meant? I am meant to go away and research my own things, but is again like if you're saying that this person's saying Rachel Ziegler should have used her time better and shouldn't have attended the Met Gala and could have done something else that would have benefited Palestine. Yeah, but the amount of time that you're making me sit and block all these celebrities, that could take an hour. The amount of time that, like, when you break it down, like, just none of it really makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, the, like, granular ways that we, like, see of, like, attributing people's attention, attributing people's time, attributing, like, how much money they're spending on X, Y, Z versus, like, how much money they're spending on this. So it was really interesting because we had an essay in the research that was called Mapping Internet Celebrity on TikTok, Exploring Attention Economies and Visibility Labours by Crystal Aberden. And it said that it's lowered the barriers of what it means to be politically active. like on TikTok, things like this. And I thought that was like such an interesting point. Like when someone used to be politically active, even like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was like part of their personality because it was so much different, like what counted as being politically active. Whereas now, like, you can do like so little and still attribute that as like part of who you are.
Yeah, it's also why we look back at, like, not saying there's anything wrong with Jane Fonda, but it's why we look at celebrities like Jane Fonda who have like consistently been very active in socio-political issues as being like a better example, because they like she would have had to have like gone to rallies physically, which people should do now, but obviously there's like accessibility issues there, but that's a sidebar.
Yes, a whole episode in itself, innit?
She would have had to, you know, been at meetings, she would have had to physically been in these spaces, whereas like physical participation isn't like 100% necessary anymore. But we're living in a time of scarcity of good information on the internet, so it's kind of a perfect storm in which like there's not good resources online unless you really look for them, and less people can be do physical action for a myriad of reasons.
Therefore, and I think there was another bit in the research that was saying, I think it was the essay where it was called The Hunger Games documentary by Juno Kelly for Dazed. And it was saying that it's not just that activism is online, it's that activism kind of has to be entertaining now. And I thought that was really like jarring, like, and kind of like why it ties into the Hunger Games as well. Like, we need to like seeing those videos where people are like cutting this footage together as if to make like a stark like PSA point and then putting it on their social media so they get the views, and then like it's easily shareable and stuff like that. It just makes it really like, that's why it's easier to be politically active, because it's easier to engage with politics because it's been made to be an entertainment.
But I also think this just goes back to like engagement baiting and engagement farming, in that I'm sure the people that made Blockout have like really good intentions, but a lot of the memes that are like Zendaya in her big dress or whatever going up the carpet that say like the Hunger Games is real, that is just purely someone trying to like get likes, get retweets, get whatever. We view things through such a warped lens now of like trying to think of 2 to 3 funny things about it before, so we can post and like have a hot take, and it's just not productive. Like, some things just don't need to be memeified. Like, as we said before in our Gypsy Rose Blanchard episode, it applies to like such a wide sweeping range of topics, but obviously genocide is at the top of that list. Like, we can't memeify, we can't make entertainment out of something that is so serious, and I can't take seriously things that like will make such like overblown comparisons about it, because it just seems so cynical, like so deeply cynical, that these people have an agenda to find engagement from it.
Yeah, and even like trying to find like a humour, trying to find like appeal from like a certain particular audience. Like, I've seen loads of people like trying to lift up Bella Hadid and shit on Gigi Hadid because they're like, Bella Hadid's the Princess of Nazareth, like sharing when her father called her that and being like, Gigi Hadid, what has she actually done? And then people in the comments being like, Gigi Hadid's actually done fucking loads. It's just like, you've got a little gay vendetta against her because you love Bella Hadid so much because she's your chosen Hadid sister, that you're trying to make it about like them as sisters being like rivals over a fucking... Their family is so involved in this. Like, that's so dark-sided. That you just want to get some likes on a tweet?
Yeah, we're just treating this like, we're treating like a very real thing that's going on as if it's a Game of Thrones episode that we can all like feed in on every week, like depending on what the celebrity event of the week is, or like who Bella's posing with, or who X is doing that. But then back to your Amy Schumer point, like, meanwhile the world keeps turning. Like, it's a very real thing that people that have been vocal about Palestine have like lost jobs, lost opportunity, and all of these things, whereas that doesn't seem to be the case for like people that are speaking up in support of Israel. And the world keeps turning. Like, these things happen, but we're not actually creating any concrete resistance. Like, the amount of shite people talk about Kim Kardashian, for example, both warranted and unwarranted, like what she said at that thing she was at, I don't even know what it was, the day after the Met Gala, where she was like, peace for all, was very, very dumb. But that's a stellar point. Like, these people just keep going. They like keep going out there, keep going on the publicity train. They keep doing their jobs. They keep doing everything. This doesn't affect them. Like, they are like, we're watching a TV. Like, we can't affect the narratives that much. Like, I'm sure we can, but it takes like real concrete resistance that takes time to build up. And this has been obviously like a very long conflict in terms of like stretches further than your or mine life. But acutely since October, let's say, we've already seen like such a change, like such a tidal change or whatever, of a lot of people like feeling more brave to speak up about Palestine, or maybe even having their opinion changed and like actually getting educated, and like people that attend real life protests or whatever. But even with protests, for example, like I've seen a lot of organisers say, well, now it's not doing anything because everyone expects the pro-Palestine protests to be out every week and they know the route. Do you know what I mean? Like, something about activism and that is that it has to be agile. It always has to be like aware of the goalposts and move accordingly. But we're just seeing it as entertainment.
Yeah, it needs to be disruptive.
Yeah.
But we've lost that element of it.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can't fault people for trying, because like I think there are, you know, positives to take out of something like a blockout exercise, but it needs to not be like contained to a specific thing, and it needs to actually reflect how people live their, like how we want to live our lives. Like what I said, if I don't like a celebrity, why would I be following them? If I don't like believe in, like, I'm not going to buy Skims. Like, they might be amazing, but I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to, like, especially as celebrities are more and more commodified in terms of actual product lines. Like, you can buy Ariana Grande's lipstick, you can buy Selena Gomez's blush, you can buy whatever. And I don't follow those people. It's like, you can just remove yourself from, like, you can't remove yourself from the discourse, because that's like never ending. People are constantly talking about different celebrities, but it's not inescapable to cut like one particular celebrity out of your like life.
I think what we really benefit from is removing the importance of celebrity from these conversations altogether, rather than trying to make it about them and their opinions.
Yeah, I even saw with Eurovision, so anyone who's not in the UK might not be like clued into Eurovision chat, but there was like a purposeful, you know, like there was a boycott on Eurovision because they allowed Israel to perform and like didn't take them out of the competition. And there was like a call.
But they have done that in the past when Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah.
So there's a president with Eurovision doing that. So that's why people are especially pissed off.
Yeah, and like Queers for Palestine called for like a boycott on specifically like queer artists that were performing or like representing their countries or whatever, including Ollie Alexander and for the UK and Bambi Thug for Ireland. And like something like that, yeah, it's thought out, it's like planned. People remove themselves from an event and there's no event. That's like very concrete. Also happened with the Great Escape Festival that's happening in Brighton soon. But then Ollie Alexander and Bambi Thug both decided to perform anyway. And like Ollie Alexander just whinged about it in interviews, like that he was sad and that he couldn't pull out, but like he was pro-Palestine. But then Bambi Thug did all this stuff where it was like, love will always win, like speaking into the mic or whatever, tried to like write like Free Palestine on her face and had to take it off and stuff. But it's like, and then after, like while Eurovision, despite like, I feel like most people know about the Eurovision boycott, despite knowing all this and knowing that they like actively hadn't pulled out, people were being like, oh my god, slay queen, oh my god, like after seeing Bambi Thug carrying the Palestinian flag. And it's like, the bar is on the floor.
Yeah, no, people are just like making shit up as well, like making up narratives for the celebrities that haven't done like what they want, or like haven't performed like how they feel. Like I saw such a weird one, like being like, Anna Wintour made the theme of the Met Gala that, because then she could invite all the influencers and make them look like knobheads because they would show themselves up as being like anti the movement. I was like, do you think Anna Wintour's clued in on the movement?
Scheming, yeah.
Scheming to do that? I don't think so. Like, just stop caring about what celebrities are doing.
Yeah. And
like,
like just
stop focusing your energy on that.
On that, yeah, when there's so much else to do. And with that,
thank you, Ione.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you to Siham for the research and the sound teching. Thank you to Olivia for editing. And
thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to all of our lovely listeners. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.